Hey there, Sam. Imagine we're creating a game, and this game has different types of characters. Let's create a class for each of them. We'll have a knight class, and at the time when we instantiate this character, we should give it some health and magic in the constructor. And let's also add some methods to our knight. In object-oriented programming, a class function is also known as method. So the next time when you hear someone mentioning about the word method, they are simply referring to a function in an object or class. So a knight can walk, can fight, can ride, and can charge into an enemy. I will not implement these functions as they are not the purpose of this lesson. So I'll leave them empty as it is. Now, let's say I want to create a new character type called mage. And similar to a knight, a mage has health and magic as well. So the constructor will look pretty much the same. And the mage can walk and can fight as well. The mage probably couldn't ride or charge into an enemy. So I'll leave them out, and instead we're going to replace it with a function called cast, which will let the mage to cast a spell. Now, here's the issue. Both of our class looks very similar. We are repeating ourselves here, which is a big no-no. Is there a better way to do this? And the answer is obviously yes. We'll use something called inheritance to stop us from repeating ourselves. Inheritance is a concept of having a base class, or what we call a parent class, and we'll have daughter classes that would extend or inherit all the properties and methods from the base class. If that doesn't make sense to you, let's try to refactor our code so we can use inheritance to solve our issue here. So now let's create a base class, and I'll call it character. So the character class would contain common methods and properties that both our knight and mage class would have. So I'll move the constructor function to the character class and also the walk and fight method. And now our code is much more shorter than before. Let's make our knight and mage class inherit from the character class. To do that, we need to use the extend keyword. We'll just type out the extend keyword after the class name. So now knight is extending the character class and therefore has access to all the methods and properties from the character class. And we'll do the same for the mage class as well. And now let's create a new knight object and see if we can call the fight method. I'm going to add a console log inside the fight function definition and call the fight function on Karen. And it works. So Karen is a knight and is inheriting everything that characters has to offer. There's no limits on the inheritance level of a class. For example, if we want, we can create another class that extends knight. I'll call it warrior, and the extend keyword and knight. So now warrior is a grandchild of character. And again, it has access to all of the properties and functions of knight and character. There's one more thing I want to introduce to you, which is the super function. So let's say we might want to instantiate knight differently than the other characters. In other words, we want to override the default constructor function and to let knight accept different arguments when we instantiate it. So to do that, we simply need to override the constructor function. Right? Well, yes and no. First of all, we're repeating ourselves to set the health and magic property. This is not good and we shouldn't be doing this. Secondly, we see this error in the console, where JavaScript tells us to call the super function. So the super function is a special function that represents the constructor in the base class. And the super function is exactly what we want to avoid repeating ourselves here. We can replace these two lines with the super function to let the base class constructor set the health and magic properties for us. And that is pretty much it. The lines after the super function will be specific to the knight class only, and we can customize however we want. So that's a quick intro to inheritance in object-oriented programming. It's a very powerful technique, but use it sparingly, because it has a massive drawback, as you'll see in the next few lessons. Key takeaway for this lesson: inheritance is a concept of a class extending another base class or parent class so that it can access all the properties and methods of the base class. The super function is a special function that represents the constructor of the base class, so that we can call the base constructor in the child class. That's it for now, and I'll see you again in the next video. If you enjoyed the content of this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon for more content to come. It will really help me out. Thanks for your support.